there's some things in marketing that never change, I think always and forever, it'll be our job to deeply understand our customer. Like, what do they care about? What makes their life easier? What pain or challenge can we solve? And then our job is, how do we connect that to how our product can help them, help their company, and hopefully help the greater good. If we landed at a mission driven company, which thankfully I have. And then what changes is, how do we deliver that message? So the channels or the mediums that we have. I mean, one of the things I think that is both fun and really challenging about being a marketer is there's an explosion of channels and they're getting noisier and noisier. So how do we break through the noise? And I think the best way to do that is like really authentically knowing what our customer, like what do they most care about, and how do we match incredible content with knowing them like really intimately, right? Like, we know what you care about. We know we have people like you, like we are in this together. And those messages are hard to ignore. But I think that's our challenge, right? Like, the world is so noisy, and yet we have something that can make your life better. So how do we make those connection points to do that?
I think we really think about UX as being a product role, but it's really so much more, and it's a critical function of marketing now too. So it really doesn't matter how great the product offering is if we're not communicating the right message up front to get users to see the value. And there's a lot of recent studies showing that a lot of SaaS buyers do their research up front, I think around 80% before they even talk to sales. So making sure that we're representing UX on the marketing side, bringing in research foundations early, really helps represent the voice of the customer early on in the buyer process, so we can make sure that users are really getting the information they need, and that it's all accessible to them on the website.
Every good experience that you create with your customer is part of your brand. So is every bad experience. So is every frustrating experience. And you talked a little bit about the simple things. I think sometimes those are the easiest to overlook. It's like you focus so much on creating this big, beautiful customer journey, and you forgot that the button, you can't click on it, or the copy, you have to click on the button and not the copy, or whatever, It's
right, like, it's not as functional as one would like.
It's so easy to just kind of overlook that stuff because you're so focused on the big things. So looking at our data regularly and interrogating that data to make sure that we haven't missed something, that we haven't accidentally optimized our way into a really frustrating experience. And you can see that using, different visuals and things like flowcharts and abandonment rates and things like that through the process. But it also, you talked about the creative aspects of it. So working with your designers, working with the people who create the copy and the writing, which is how your brand comes to life on the page, right? Is making sure we're also bringing those folks in. So in our weekly testing, just an example of how we do that, we have a weekly testing meeting where we've got writers who are there with us. I've got designers that are there with us. I've got creative folks that come in, and they all weigh in on every single test we do, whether it's, even if it's just to weigh in and say, yes, I approve, or to champion something like, actually, have you thought of this problem in this way? Or have you thought of this implication of this decision that you're making and how it might impact for good or for worse?
Yeah.
But it really is a collaborative effort, because there's no way that myself, I'm going to able to represent all of those different, professional areas. So that collaboration really becomes super key, all in the testing conversation. And so we get everybody involved. There's no man left behind on that one.
We all know that it's less expensive to make changes up front than if we're doing it after we already go live. And really, whenever we make major sweeping changes on the website, we always try to build in time to validate with our target audience prior to launch, just so we're going to the market with confidence that we're providing the right value to our users. So setting the scene for this project, we realized the messaging we were using wasn't really resonating with our audiences, so we needed to shift that messaging framework. So working with our product marketing teams and our content teams, we've been working on updating that throughout the website and our marketing materials, which would really impact everything that we produce as a team. So prior to launching the brand new updated messaging, we knew it would be a great opportunity to conduct user research and validate a lot of the assumptions that we had made. So we went into it with the goal to really evaluate how clear and effective our new messaging frameworks would be so we could pivot if we need to and reduce the amount of rework before going to market. Our results really showed that the updated messaging was resonating better with our target audience, which was such a huge confidence boost for us and the team internally. So because we were able to tap into those human insights that were pulled from the platform, we were able to quantify almost a 30% increase in the clarity of our messaging. We have continued to update it since then too, and we're seeing that continuous improvement as we move forward to tell that platform story in a more concise and helpful way, really speaking to our customers in their language. The ability to really test and optimize our messaging before we launch just removes the guesswork and really provides peace of mind internally. So in addition to proving the value of UX that this sort of research can do and bring up front, ultimately it just creates further brand clarity and more qualified leads, and really we see an ROI increase in all of our marketing activities that this influenced.
I think of testing kind of a one coin, two sides of the coin. So user testing largely falls onto one side of the coin. So I've got a UX folks on my team who are looking at building experiences, partnering with design, partnering with the dev to make sure that we're building out the best possible experiences. And user testing allows us to test a lot of those designs and test those functionalities before we ever go and invest dev resources into creating them. As a lot of people probably can relate to, dev resources are often hard to come by. So we like to use them intelligently, and user testing allows us to do that. It allows us to validate our hypotheses, validate the designs, that they are creating engagements that are what we are trying to create. Like we're creating purposeful engagements. So that's half of it. And then the other half is using technology like an Optimizely, in our case, Adobe Target, to make iterative improvements once all of that work is borne out, is live in the production environment. Then we can test and iterate from there, whether we're trying to tweak conversion rates or trying to make sure people are getting to the content down at the bottom of the page, or whatever the little problem is that we're trying to solve, that we can do iterative testing on the front end to make sure that we're optimizing that experience.
The way I think about it is that if you want to build credibility as a marketing, a product, or customer success leader, sharing customer feedback is the fastest way to do it, because you can't dispute customer feedback as a data point.